Hello everybody, Megazord X here. Again to give you another very exciting video, and for today, all right, here we go. We got to talk about this Pokemon Presents presentation because there's some good, then there's a lot of bad and ugly within this presentation. I'm not normally kind of overly critical with most presentations that are kind of associated with Nintendo unless it actually warrants it, which kind of with this presentation and subsequent presentations that we kind of been recently getting from Pokemon Presents, you know what, I just got to go ahead and tear up into this though. So we managed to get some good information on some certain things we've been kind of looking forward to, such as like the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet DLC. Got a little bit more information with Detective Pikachu, but as you slowly start to look at the whole entire picture, even though this presentation was only about 35 minutes long, you start to notice that you kind of start to know exactly what they want to actually say or give updates to from presentation to presentation without you having to even speculate and predict on it really hard. But I'll hit on those topics and ideas at the very tail end of the video though. But we'll go ahead and jump into what was actually presented in this showcase right here though. But if you hadn't already done so, make sure to go ahead and hit that like button, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that bell to stay up to date on all things video game related I feel like talking about and discussing. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight into this video. So to kick off this presentation, of course, they always got to talk about the Pokemon World Championships. I think it's the same song and dance every single time they have one of these Pokemon Presents presentation. Like you get to see that dude up there, you know, introduce himself for what the Pokemon Presents is about to do and whatnot though. They spin it over to the Worlds and they always talk about, you know, where their new location is, yada yada yada. They have this fancy seating and all of this stuff though. I mean, I don't know though, but you know, that was just the first way they actually managed to kind of kick things off for this though. And then secondly, then they, as soon as they were done with all of that, then they introduced a thing that was called Pokemon Path to the Peak, which is technically kind of cool. I'll give it a little bit of points here and there though, but apparently it's like an animation that's kind of based upon the Pokemon trading card game. So it's kind of like, you know, just like a short little anime series for that help kind of promote and do some things with the TCG and stuff like that. It's like the animation, you know, it's always really cool though, but it's just interesting how these Pokemon Presents, as you kind of slowly start to kind of recognize, it's not just for just game announcements now, it's just for the whole entire Pokemon Company International. So that's just kind of some things to kind of keep in mind though, but kind of nice, but you know, I certainly wasn't kind of really expecting that. Now with those couple of announcements out of the way, now we can finally get into some stuff that I actually, or at least me personally, was really trying to look forward to. And yes, we got more information on the Detective Pikachu returns. I don't know why they weren't really kind of cut clear and dry on saying that this is technically the sequel to the first Detective Pikachu game that was on the Nintendo 3DS though, but I think maybe the reason why they're avoiding that is just to make sure that they can pull in as much of an audience as possible. I'm not sure what the sales figures were for that game on the 3DS though, but I guess they're trying to keep it open so that way anybody can just really jump into this title without feeling like they needed to play the first one though. I wish that was kind of more answered in this little video though, but I mean, that's all we got though. But they gave us a little bit of an overview trailer. It's about like a couple and a half minutes long or whatnot though. Obviously, you got Tim, you got Detective Pikachu, and you have, you know, everybody else kind of introduce, you know, Tim's family and stuff, other different characters, showing how different Pokemon are able to actually help interact with you to be able to help you solve all of these mysteries and whatnot though. Obviously kind of give you a little bit of glimpse in the game without really giving away too much because the story is obviously a big focal point within this game though. So some really nice information, just a little bit more to add to it than what we got within the last Nintendo Direct though, but nothing else too crazy beyond that, but just kind of nice, simple, and straight to the point. Now, this next announcement, I certainly wasn't actually expecting to be here within the Pokemon Presents presentation. They actually showcased off a little bit of the animation for Pokemon Horizon series. As you're kind of watching this video right now, you're probably going back and forth seeing my face and a little bit of footage because, you know, I don't want to get copyright claim and mess on this the Pokemon anime because they don't really play around, at least not with their stuff right there in terms of footage and whatnot though. But at least for me, it was really kind of like a no news segment because I actually watched this anime and sub, so I actually been watching all of these episodes thus far. But I guess for the international audiences, for people that actually watch the English dub, that is in the on the distant horizon. No pun intended, though. But yeah, that is coming here in the distant future. So I guess they kind of want to go ahead and present that and just say that it's coming soon, but you can kind of keep an eye out on that. Now, these next four announcements, it's always the four-finger rule with all of these mobile game updates. I had to go back and look into history, but it's been a long minute since we had a Pokemon Presents presentation, and they had not mentioned these four-finger games. Yes, we're talking about Pokemon Go, which they announced that, yes, there's going to be some more community day events and stuff like that for some cool things popping up in there. Yes, they're going to start introducing some brand new Paldean Pokemon, such as like the 3 starters and a handful of other stuff. Some nice stuff right there. Of course, they mentioned about Pokemon Masters EX, where they're actually introducing new characters like Nimona and stuff like that, and having a couple other events up in there. Then you have things like Pokemon Cafe Mix, where they actually introduced Tatsugiri up into the picture. I guess you're able to actually interact with that Pokemon within your cafe and stuff. And then, of course, then you also have Pokemon Unite, which is probably the coolest one out of all these other ones I just recently mentioned. Pokemon Go is still good, though, too. But with Pokemon Unite, they're actually introducing Mewtwo in terms of, just Mewtwo himself, as well as Mewtwo X. So you're able to actually use Mewtwo and actually use him and throw him up into the fray, though. So yeah, so between all of these things, these are always your bread and butter announcements. Like, they're always showing up in every single Pokemon Presents, to the fact where if you're doing a prediction video and you don't mention one of these four things popping up in here, then you just haven't been noticing some trends, because, I don't know why, but they always like to give you updates on these. And it's actually been a while, honestly, since we had another brand new spinoff, which technically we did have one recently that came out. They gave you a little update on Pokemon Sleep and actually introduced a few new things like that. I actually dabbled around with it just a little bit, though, but nothing super crazy, at least on that front, though. But that's pretty much it in terms of most of the mobile game updates. Now, this next one that they managed to introduce, oh shoot, it was about freaking time that we finally got an update for the Nintendo Switch Online service. Yes, finally, the Pokemon trading card game is actually coming for the baseline NSO subscribers. So everybody that has NSO has access to playing that Game Boy game for the trading card game, which this game I haven't actually managed to actually go hands-on with it. So it's actually available right now by the time you're watching this video, though. So I got to dabble around with it because I never actually had an experience with it, though. And then also we managed to get the inclusion of Pokemon Stadium 2 actually coming out for the Nintendo 64 for the expansion pass here, for all of those people that own that. And I'm like, oh, thank goodness, because it's been almost 4 entire months since we had a brand new Nintendo 64 game actually introduced into the fray. Like, oh shoot, a third of the year, and we had not had an update on that front. It's about freaking time finally, though. Oh my gosh, I don't know what Nintendo was thinking. Maybe Pokemon Company tied them up with that, though, but we gotta do better on this, Nintendo and Pokemon Company. We gotta do better on this. Then we also had another interesting announcement called the Paldean Winds, which is kind of like an animated series that's, like a web comic-ish kind of thing, where they're actually going to have an animated series dedicated for Pokemon Generation 9 games, strictly directed towards it. Not like your Pokemon Horizons, which is just your general overall anime series, but something that's kind of similar. Remember back in the day, like Pokemon Origins or something like that? It'd be kind of something closer to that. And I know there's like another one that I can't think of right now, though, but it'd be something more akin to that, that's centered just around the Generation 9 story that was presented within Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet, though. That was kind of out of the blue, something I wasn't actually expecting right there, though, but we do have that to look forward to as well. Now that we had all those other announcements out of the way, now it's time to get into the meat and potatoes, yes, concerning Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet. But we're not quite yet there to the point of us talking about the DLC. But yes, they did manage to introduce that there's going to be a new raid event, that being Mewtwo, as well as you being able to receive a free copy of Mew via mystery gift. You just got to punch in a little code into the internet and boom, bada bing, you got it though. So it's interesting how they actually were doing that. It's crazy how they introduced this and they actually showed like a crazy CGI cutscene for all of this stuff though. And I think this is where the M actually came from. Whenever they first announced that Pokemon Presents was going to have a presentation on this day, it showed like a little glitchy screen and showed an M and it flashed real quick. I guess they were alluding to this. So I guess they were thinking a lot of people were going to get hyped for this. Me personally, I own Mewtwo. I own like several different, versions and copies of them and whatnot. I don't know. I'm not going to go crazy over this. I might dabble with the raid event or whatnot, but I don't think it's nothing to go crazy for. But for those that love raid events, you do have this to look forward to. But with all of that set aside, now we can finally talk about the brand new stuff, yes, concerning the DLC. So we finally got the introduction of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet Hidden Treasure of Area Zero. And first they went on to talk about the Teal Mask. And with the Teal Mask, obviously they introduced some more new Pokemon and stuff like that. Some that we hadn't seen before. And then they also kind of showcased off the world setting and whatnot, what you're kind of doing, some of the other character interactions, some brand new faces, and basically almost everything else in between those. So some nice little stuff. It was interesting how they kind of gave us an overview trailer for this. And as soon as the overview trailer was done, then they went back into it again with even some more details, but it had a little bit of different footage actually to kind of go along with it the second time around. So at least it was a little bit different. So yeah, so they showcase off the Teal Mask, and one of the brand new Pokemon they actually introduced was Diplin, which is actually evolved form of Applin. So now technically, you got 3 different evolutions for that one particular Pokemon in general though. So kind of nice. I'm like a big fan of the design. I mean, it's kind of like within like a candy apple kind of thing, whatever though. Obviously, this Teal Mask is kind of focused around 3 legendaries that kind of look like, well, 2 of them kind of monkey-ish, and one is kind of like a bird. And then obviously you have Ogerpon, who's basically like the mascot legendary for this Teal Mask part of the DLC. So that part looks pretty cool. But then you go ahead and flip it over here to the Indigo Disc. And then this is where things get a little bit more interesting. I think, me personally, I think I might like this part of the DLC a little bit better though. But yeah, the mascot for this one, it's obviously going to be Terrapagos. And obviously you have like the whole entire disc area is split up into like 4 artificially biomes. This whole entire area is actually taken out somewhere, in the basically in the ocean, which is kind of crazy to have like a whole entire environment way out there though. So they did manage to introduce a brand new Pokemon called Archaludon, who's actually the evolution of Duraludon that was actually introduced within Pokemon Sword and Shield though. So really, know why that design actually looks a little bit crazy, just looking at it, because I don't know why, but I saw this on Twitter where it's like literally like a staple gun removal thing. It really looks like that, the way how it's kind of like chomped down on like a little angle like this. Like, what the heck? I don't know what's up with that design though. But then you have also Raging Bolt, which is basically a Paradox form of Raikou over there. And then you also have another Paradox form for Cobaline, the Gen 5 legendary that was a Steel and Fighting type. So obviously, looking at these two, you can tell that Raging Bolt is essentially going to be the Scarlet version exclusive for this game. And then also Iron Crown, who's going to be technically the Violet version in terms of the Paradox forms. Just kind of looking at it, that's just what it kind of seems like to me. Because, the Paradox forms, past tense you have, with Scarlet, future tense is always associated with Violet though. But yes, you had all of them introduced. They showcase also 4 new Elite Four members that are all students. I don't know. I'm not really a big fan of some of those student designs or whatnot though, but it is what it is though. But that's essentially it in terms of most of the updates for the DLC. We got a little bit more information. I wouldn't say it's like a drastic amount unless you actually go through and nitpick and figure out which returning Pokemon are coming back, since the national Pokedex ain't necessarily a thing anymore though. But we did manage to get the actual reveal of the release date for this DLC, and thank goodness this message is not coming out in October, because October is already a jam-packed month as it is. So yes, good news on that front. But yes, the teal mask is going to be coming out on September 13th. And then in terms of the indigo one, that one's not going to actually come out until winter of 2023. No exact date for that one just yet for the indigo disc, but it still says winter 2023. So if I had to take a guess, it's probably going to come out in either November or likely December, probably one of those 2 months though. So yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of all the information that was revealed within this Pokemon Presents presentation though. So honestly, looking back at it, there's some good stuff. We got some release dates. I mean, you got some inclusion within the NSO service, like the trading card game, as well as Pokemon Stadium 2. Got a little bit more information between Detective Pikachu, but then you look at everything else between the mobile game updates, some anime, future anime stuff that's kind of along the way, Pokemon World Championships and all of this stuff. And then you kind of sit back and think, was there anything in this presentation that was 100% brand new that we did not know of? Sit down and think about this for a hot second. There's technically nothing in here that we did not know of. Yes, we did not know necessarily that the trading card game and Pokemon Stadium 2 was going to release for, day and date for a shadow drop. But we did know it was on the horizon to release within some point of this year. We already knew the DLC. We knew most of the information that was pertaining with those, the content within that DLC. And then we already got revealed that Detective Pikachu is coming out literally in the month of October, and everything else was mobile game updates. So I'm like, there wasn't really anything brand new. That's the thing that I don't necessarily like with these Pokemon Presents. They start to become too predictable, especially when you compare it to the sister presentation, that being the Nintendo Direct that it kind of stemmed off of. At least with a Nintendo Direct, you can go in and predict all day long, but you might not necessarily get a lot of things right. I get a few things right, but not everything right. But then, look at a Pokemon presentation, and if I were to do a prediction video, I had like at least 70% of this stuff right, at least with the information that we would have gotten. So I don't know. I feel like that's the one thing that's making these presentations feel a little lackluster. Yes, I understand that it's supposed to be encompassing, the Pokemon Company International, not just with game releases, which is some of the things that a lot of people really look forward to. Because when was the last time they actually introduced a brand new spinoff for an actual console one? I think that was like Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, and that's been a hot minute though. But while yes, I do understand that, I wish there was a little bit more stuff in terms of their announcements where it's stuff that we weren't completely thinking of and something that's going to be coming out here soon in the distant horizon. So I don't know, that's just my few little nitpicks. A little too predictable, kind of bland, very vanilla presentation, nothing with a lot of poof or pizzazz or anything like that. It's just kind of basically straight, it's basically like eating a piece of steak that's not even seasoned. Like you knew what you were getting, and it didn't taste any different from the point of when you looked at it versus when you had it in your mouth. But that's pretty much it in terms of all the stuff I had to say in terms of this presentation. But y'all gotta let me know down in the comment section down below, what all did you think about this presentation? Did you actually really like it? Or are you feeling kind of like me, kind of mixed? It's just like, it's kind of predictable. I kind of expected all these announcements, or anything else that you might have been thinking. Let me know down in the comment section down below. But that's going to basically do it in terms of this video though. So if you really like it, make sure you go and hit that like button, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and that bell to stay up to date on all things video game related I feel like talking about and discussing. So remember y'all, until whatever video I make next, see y'all.